How bad is the water in Philadelphia? And the new startup Homeward is making it easier for people that need to buy and sell in the same time. Tune into Toole Time right now. I'm Tom Toole. She is Jess Lion.
Hello.
Back again. We are here on Toole Time talking about some interesting stuff this week locally in the real estate world. And then Jess has got some really good motivation from an author that I'm a big fan of. So let's get into it. Philadelphia's water. How bad is it? There was recently a study done where they had a water sommelier. I didn't even know these existed. Craig Laban was there, a bunch of restaurateurs around the city of Philadelphia where they taste-tested water from New York, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, store brand, Deer Park, bottled water, all this stuff, and they rated them to see how bad or good it was to maybe bust the myth that Philadelphia has crappy water. I don't know. Jess, what do you think about all this?
Well, the results came in, and at the top of the list, it was like the store brand basic water bottle at the top. They won. And then Philly came in second to last, right above Pittsburgh. So I don't drink tap water. I live in Philadelphia. I would rather drink an entire gallon of milk before I drank tap water. Like, I can't drink it. I don't like the taste.
Do you know if you drank a gallon of milk, you would throw up? It's scientifically documented.
Okay, but that's how much I do not like tap water. Like, it tastes different. I'm afraid, like, it's been sitting in the pipes. If you throw a filter on it, that's a little bit better. Like, I used to drink tap water and it had a Brita, like, screw on. So I would drink that. And I hate that I use all these, like, plastic water bottles, but I don't drink tap water.
So the survey that was done that prompted this test, and this was a couple weeks ago in the middle of July, was that 40% of residents, according to the Philadelphia Water Department, actually don't drink the water. I don't know why people just don't buy a fridge with a water line or a Brita filter. I mean, this is like so obvious to me. I also lived in Philadelphia for 8 years. We had a fridge with a water line. It was fine. We put a filter on it. It was great. You know, tap water, they pull the water from two rivers, the Schuylkill and the Delaware. I mean, it meets all the standards in place for the federal government. It's all safe. That's not the point. There's a reason why bottled water companies are in business. Yeah. I mean, all across the board here. I mean, these things are going to taste a little more filtered. They're going to be treated. I don't get why this is such a big story. I found it kind of interesting that the standards are so different between different cities, where that New York and Baltimore came in ahead of Philadelphia. Pittsburgh was worse. Big surprise. Sorry, western side of the state. I'm just looking at this, and I read about this, and I think the big issue here, it's not so much the water, but the fact that there's a lot of people that don't make a lot of money that live in Philadelphia, and they are either drinking water that meets the guidelines but is subpar, and it can be a major cost for them they don't need. So yeah. I think that's the bigger concern here. I don't know how to fix it unless the water department's going to step up their game. Maybe this is a wake-up call for them. I don't know.
I think they should, but even then, I don't even know if I would drink tap water. I feel like definitely get yourself a Brita. That's my take on this. Get yourself a Brita. Get yourself a filter. Like, how
much are those things? Were they like $30, $40?
$25 on Amazon. I should buy one.
You would save a lot of money.
I would save a lot of money.
And you can get, bottled water it's not inexpensive, but you can get a case of water at like Rite Aid or the supermarket for like $6 or $7. Like, it's not.
And the basic brand is fine. Like, it's fine.
That came in ahead of Deer Park, by the way.
Yes, it did. So you don't have to get the alkaline. You don't have to get all these special waters. Just the basic water. You're fine. You're good to go.
So I think the lesson learned here is invest in a Brita filter and stop freaking out, because guess what? You live in a city that is a very old city. It has an old infrastructure. Yeah. We're not out west where we have all these different new treatment plants. I mean, this is just how it is living in the Northeast. And I don't understand why people are freaking out about this as much. I don't get why they don't use a Brita filter. I see people drink bottled water all the time. I get it.
We're sponsoring Brita today.
Well, I mean, maybe we should. So, we'll reach out. Maybe they'll send us some free filters. We can give them out to everybody. So get a filter. I don't think this is that big of a deal.
No.
It's interesting, but not surprising, knowing the area here.
Yeah.
So this story I'm a little more interested in. So Tim Heel, he runs a real estate team that did over 900 sales in 2018. He's with Keller Williams. He's a mega agent. I've seen him speak. Very, very interesting stuff. He recently raised $25 million for a startup called Homeward. And the reason behind this is that he feels the current process of buying a home is backwards. Buyers have to sell their existing home, then rush to find a new one. They're trying to remove the uncertainty by letting buyers use their cash to secure their next home first. Then they can sell their property. And this was interesting to me, for its full market value. Not really the case when you read the article, how the program works. And I'm a big Tim Heel fan. I mean, I saw him speak at Boomtown Unite. Very, very riveting talk that he gave. I loved, and he's a rock star in the real estate world. I just don't know how well this startup's going to do. So, Jess, what do you think about all this?
I like the idea of it because it is an issue that you see from time to time where you do need to sell, but you need to buy at the same time. And then you kind of feel the pressure of finding the right house. And are you settling just because you need your house sold or something like that? And I really like the part of it where you're sticking with an actual agent. The agent's giving you a professional value of your home. They're taking you out to go and look at houses. They're going to be listing your house as well. And I think they're trying to say in the article that you can list it with the agent for fair market value and try to get that. But if it doesn't sell, then they're going to purchase it from you, Homeward, for a wholesale price, which I don't like that. And I don't like the idea of, you can, they're pushing the idea of, we're going to help you submit a cash offer, an all cash offer. And while all cash offers are great, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to automatically get the deal done. So I don't know. Those are the little holdups I have with it.
Yeah, so you did a good job summarizing the process. Let me just go over it again. So there's 6 steps that they identify. The first one is the homeowner submits an online application, and then the company calculates the equity and provides an approval in minutes. And they use automated valuations and some real estate experts. So I don't know how that happens in minutes if there's real estate experts involved because they haven't seen the home. Then once the homeowner is approved, they work with an agent. They purchase their next home without having to list their current home using the funds that Homeward has. So then they make the all-cash offer. Then the homeowner leases the new home from Homeward while they work on selling their old home. And if the home doesn't sell, Homeward's going to buy it at a pre-agreed-upon price. Typically, it's like I find that the pre-agreed-upon price, this has been out there for a while. We're going to buy it if we can't sell it. These programs are out there. Usually, it's a below-market price. Yeah. Or like a wholesale price or something like that, because they're not going to want to amass inventory of properties here. At least that's my guess from seeing these work. They charge a 1.9% fee on the home that the consumer is purchasing. And that's to cover that. And then they said that's usually covered by the savings associated with having an all-cash offer. So they're talking about mortgage costs there. Mm-hmm. But what if they don't have enough cash to buy the home cash? I mean, this is what I'm not getting here. And he certainly knows how to sell homes. There's no question about it. I've got a couple concerns about this. My first is, what happened to saving money to buy a new home?
Yeah.
I mean, I get that it's backwards, but it's not. This is how people got into trouble when the market crashed, because they were spending money they didn't have. So let's say the home doesn't sell at the fair market price, and maybe their Homeward buy price is less than what they need to get into the new home. Mm-hmm. Then they're in this lease. I mean, what happens then? I'm sure that this is all mapped out. My concern is that this is another example of a lot of tech money coming into real estate. This is not much that different from an iBuyer. Mm-hmm. I think they're approaching it a different way. And, I love that agents are involved here because it's going to help the consumer. My concern is that there's a lot of things that could go wrong here. What if they can't get them out of the lease and they have to evict them? I mean, there's all these holes that could happen here. Who are the agents they're partnering with? I'm imagining it's probably people that he knows, or with his team. He's got a big team. They sold over 900 homes last year, so they know what they're doing. And there's always these statements: without Homeward, my client wouldn't be in their new home. The right home in the right neighborhood popped up before they considered listing it. There's some uncertainties here.
Yeah.
And my concern about this is, and then the last thing they said is Heel says the villain is the process, the whole process, the way it's been designed from the beginning. It wasn't thoughtful of the consumer. That's because they have to spend the money that they have. There are way too many people out there spending money they don't have right now, and I have a major problem with this because that's how people get into debt and get into bad financial situations. So my concern here, I love the idea, but how well are they qualifying? What are the standards? These are things that are not answered here. And now he's got $25 million of somebody else's money. I hope it's all mapped out. But I see some holes in this plan right away. And it's no different than the agent that gets on TV and says, hey, if your home doesn't sell, I'll buy it. And I've seen those. And you know what? That's a legitimate business. Some people want that wholesale price. They want the quick sale. He talks about maximizing the sale. I'm just not seeing – I'm seeing two different sides of this here. And I'm really curious how this is going to work out.
I think that if you're nervous about the process, like, hey, I would need to sell, but I do want to buy, like, do your homework ahead of time and meet with the professional in your area and get an idea of what your home is worth, and then look at your finances, and then start going out like ahead of time, start getting familiar with properties. That way when you identify one, we already know what your home's worth. We can pull the trigger, get it sold. I think there's a different way to approach this.
I mean, there's also ways you can do this with a bank. You get a home equity line of credit on your home if you got that much equity. Don't tap it. You won't pay any cost till you tap it, and then go use that to buy the home. Then you have a banking relationship with somebody. You know what the numbers are. They've done an appraisal. So I don't know why people couldn't do that if they're getting approved with this startup. There's bridge loans that aren't that common. I mean, there's a lot of ways that people have done this. So
I think this is like shiny. Like, they can give me the money to buy a house cash and move in, and I don't even have to sell the other one. Like, the idea that it's easy.
Who knows? I mean, these tech companies, they pop up on down all the time. I mean, again, Tim knows what he's doing when it comes to selling real estate. I don't know that this concept is a great one, and I hope it's a little more spelled out.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, some inspo for today. Gretchen Rubin.
What's inspo?
Inspiration.
Okay. I'm not familiar with all the
Catch up
slang.
with me, Tom.
Yes.
Oh, man. Okay, so our inspiration, our motivation for today, I was listening to the Rise podcast again, and Rachel Hollis was interviewing Gretchen Rubin, and she's a blogger, she's a motivational speaker, she's an author of the Happiness Project and the Four Tendencies books, a bunch of other books as well. She said, act the way you want to feel. What do you think?
Well, I mean, if you're acting the way you don't want to feel, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I mean, that's more another example of like fronting, if you will.
Like fake it till you make it?
I guess. But that's not the opposite. Because fake it till you make it means you act like you want to be, and then you eventually get there. Mm-hmm. So these the people that they say they want to be happy or they want to be successful, and then they walk around and they're mean mugging all day long, or they've got a bad attitude. Guess what? They're gonna feel bad. I mean, but you know what I'm talking about. You see these people. They say, "I want to be happy. I want to get more out of my life," and they walk around and they got a ticked off attitude, and they're not happy, and they're grumpy or irritable. Yeah. Guess what? They're gonna be irritable the rest of their lives. I mean, it's all about mindset. I mean, it's so clear that when you start to do the things that will get you where you want to go, and a lot of these quotes are about this, which is interesting. You have to make a decision. This is the kind of person that I want to be, and then start doing the things that person's going to do at some point, because if you're not acting that way, you're never going to feel that way.
Yeah. When I was listening to this, I think she was talking about like being an entrepreneur, and she was like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, act like an entrepreneur. Do what they do. Don't be watching Netflix for 8 hours every day. Go out and do something to build your business. Learn. You're talking about like being happy, like you actually have to choose and put yourself in that mindset. It's not just going to happen to you. People are like waiting for this to happen, then that will come. But you have to choose to be happy. You have to choose to be successful in your business, an entrepreneur, things like that. So to me, it's all about like choice. It's not just going to come.
Well, it never does. I mean, the people that are waiting for like the magic bullet to hit them and then all of a sudden everything works, like that's not going to happen. That doesn't exist. Fundamentally, when you look at just business or a career or being an entrepreneur, it's about putting the work in every day, even when it sucks. Like that is so clear at this point, because now we get to see what it's like being an entrepreneur with social media and the content that's out there. Before like 10, 15 years ago, people just thought they had these great business ideas and all of a sudden they worked.
Yeah.
But they didn't. The curtain wasn't pulled away. You didn't see behind the curtain what it's like for these entrepreneurs or these inspirational figures every day that are out there. And now all of a sudden it's like cool to be an entrepreneur. It's cool to be working hard and be in business. That wasn't the case. Mm-hmm. Everyone wanted to be celebrities and all that other stuff. And now you're seeing people like, Gary Vaynerchuk's a good example. Tom Bilyeu with Impact Theory. I mean, these guys just went out and worked, and they tell people about what they're doing on a daily basis. They documented it, and now all of a sudden, it's cool to do that when I don't know that was the case that long ago.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's some good stuff. Act the way you want to feel.
Catch you guys next week. Thanks for watching.